Hey, James, you know what burns my ass today?
I have no idea what burns your ass.
Well, when the heated electric seat in my car shorts out.
That'd be a little more than just burning your ass.
Yeah, that burned it.
Hi, I'm James.
I'm Les.
And welcome to Toxic Male Manifesto. Today, Dad has a number of things that he'd like to talk about, as well as on Facebook, I got in a little bit of an argument with one of the guys on Yellow Vest about how we should treat our Prime Minister in Canada. I'll talk about that a little bit later, shortly.
That's awesome, because there's a couple things we want to talk about. One, I want to talk about your social media presence and what we as men need to be doing today and what we need to be cautious about. One of the things I always talk to James about, and I've actually, in the last little while, I've called you and said, James, you put something on Facebook, you should take that off. We need to be watching what we say, because everything we say is recorded forever. So if you say things today that might be used against you down the road, you need to make sure you don't get it on there. Same thing as pictures, same thing as doing things in public. You want to really be careful, because people are watching us all the time. Lots of people are watching us not to find the things that we do good. They want to find the things that we do bad. And you know something? I'm really not any different than anybody else. I'm a Christian. I use foul language sometimes. And I've had people come to me and say, you know, you're a Christian, you shouldn't be swearing. Well, sometimes I do swear. The Bible doesn't actually say you can't swear. What it says is if I do things that other people take offense to, I shouldn't be doing it. So if you take offense to my swearing, I should not be doing it. Now, having said that, not everyone understands that. The Bible does say you shall not take the Lord's name in vain. It does say that. Mm-hmm. So anyway, we need to be watching everything we do, because others are watching, and some of them don't have our best interests. And I'm going to use a personal example here, or not a personal example. This is an example. This woman's name is Isis Davis Marks. Okay, she's a writer.
Her first name is Isis?
Isis.
Okay. I mean, I've heard crazier things, but yeah.
Well, that's her given name. I didn't check in to find out why she's got that name, or if it was given her or she changed it to it, but that's her name right now.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, she's a writer. Was anyway at 2018 when I found this, for Yale University paper, and she's urging students, get this, urging her students to spy on white male classmates in order to ruin their careers in the future. She is actually doing that.
I heard about this.
So here's the funny thing. When I was looking at it, she's talking about how 15 and 20 years from now, she wants to be in a position where if somebody's standing for a Senate seat or something like that, that she's going to be able to step forward and say, I saw you. Make a remark, a racist remark that he said. An unintentional utterance that he made when he had one drink too many at that frat party during his sophomore year. I'll recall a message that he accidentally left open on a computer when he forgot to log out of iMessage. Now, here's a couple things that I got to say about that. This woman is intent on helping herself and other women collect information that we do when we're 15, 16, 18, 21, 22 years old. And is going to use this against us intentionally 15 to 20 years from now. Now, here's the other two things that I think are wrong here. One, she's violating the privacy of people. I have the right to go around in my life, and so does she, to not have people looking on my computer to see what I just typed in, to have people not taking pictures of me when I'm doing stuff, to be able to enjoy a beer or two with my friends. Like, I have that right. So does she. So, like, I'm having a real issue with this particular one.
That's really crazy, honestly, because, like, what she's saying is that she wants to breed more Dr. Blasey Fords. Is she wants to have more people that will be able to do what Blasey Ford did to Judge Kavanaugh.
Well, actually, what she's saying is if Blasey Ford had been able to do proper recording of what happened at that time, then they would have been able to get Judge Kavanaugh. Now, here, she doesn't mention the fact that Blasey Ford might have been mistaken that it was somebody else that did it.
Yeah.
None of that's brought up. Just that Blasey Ford should have been in a position to record the information. So what she's saying is that she needs to make sure she has it. And she is intent on destroying people's relationships. Now, here's the interesting part also. This is the people she wants to destroy. She says, everyone knows a white boy with shiny brown hair and a saccharine smile that conceals his great ambitions. He could be in grand strategy of the Yale Political Union. I don't even know what that is. I should have checked it up.
Sounds something pretty crazy.
Maybe he's the editor-in-chief of the news. He takes his classes, he networks, and when it comes time for graduation, he wins all the awards. Now, what she's doing is she's condemning this guy for winning all the awards and for doing those things. Excuse me. If he's in grad strategy of the year of the Yale Political Union and he's editor-in-chief of the news, that guy's working hard.
He's doing
so he gets awards not because he's a white guy. He gets awards because he's actually worked his butt off. You want awards? Work harder than he does. Get the awards yourself. Don't go and tear his relationship and his reputation down 15, 20 years from now. But here she is stereotyping this guy. Right?
Just because of the color of his skin. I mean, that's probably happened to her, but it doesn't make it right for her to do it to other people.
No. Anyway, so for me, I'm having a real serious issue that this woman is encouraging people to violate the privacy of others, to save that information, and she's going to use that information to destroy careers and people's lives 15, 20 years down the road. So what I'm warning our fellow men is let's watch ourselves. Let's make sure that we don't put ourselves in a position. When I was in Bible college, I was taught that if you're ever counseling or if you're ever with a member of the opposite sex or with children or anybody in a vulnerable situation whatsoever, you never counsel them, you never talk with them in private. The doors are always open, the curtains are always open. Never, ever place yourself in a position where somebody might suspect you did something wrong. Basically, never even give off the appearance of evil. It's in the Bible, actually.
I have kind of a personal story to this. When I'm in the military. I know I haven't ever told you guys this before, but I'm in the military, and when I was stationed in CFB Borden in Ontario, a friend of mine, we had a mess there where we would go and eat every lunch, and you were forced to, and you had to pay $700 a month to eat there. He would go there, and the food was terrible, and the service was terrible, and it was completely overpriced. Anyways, he made they have like a, you can go on Google, and they have like a Google Maps review. So he went on there, and he made a review on the mess because civilians are allowed to eat there, so they're allowed to make reviews. He made a review, and he just, whole paragraph about how terrible the place was, and how he'd prefer to eat cardboard and stuff like that. And he got called into the warrants office, and he got a little bit yelled at and whatnot, and he got taken off of his course, all because of what he made a post on Google reviews about the mess. So that's kind of a good example of how what you make on social media can come back and burn you in the butt. If he had have been to a different warrant, because what I was told is the warrant was actually like agreeing with him, like, yeah, the mess does suck. But if he had have made a review, like if he had gone to a different warrant or something like that, he could have gotten hit with the book and maybe gone to Club Ed for something like that. Like it making the military look bad in that kind of a way is a huge problem.
You know what's funny though, James, is I ate at your mess when I came to visit you.
You did.
And I'm a veteran as well, and I ate in the mess many, many times. Actually, I never did live off the base my entire time in the military. I thought the food was spectacular, but I heard lots of people around me complaining about the food, and I'm like, well, I don't know, it's pretty good.
I think, you ate at a different mess. He ate at the mess when I was in CFB Petawawa. The one in Borden was a little bit worse, but I think the reason why people hate the food so much at the messes is because we're required, we have no choice in the matter. You have to pay $700 a month out of your pay to eat at this mess, and they don't really give you much of an option on what you want to eat. If you're trying to gain weight and muscle like I was when I was there, they don't give you that much protein. They give you just as much as all the other people, but you can have as much pie as you want. You can have as much desserts as you want. They've got cookies, and you can take as many of those cookies as you want. But you cannot have 2 helpings of protein. You cannot have a bunch of chicken. You can't have any of that stuff. And I think that's why guys got so mad, is because they knew that if they were spending that $700 a month on food, they would be able to get tons of protein and tons of chicken and tons of beef and stuff like that with the money, instead of spending it so that you could have the option to get a bunch of cake or pie. Well, it's pretty crazy.
I just remember that not having to cook and not have to clean the dishes afterwards and not have to do other stuff.
That is nice.
It was a pretty good deal, I thought, for me.
It is nice. But that doesn't make it any better what he said about the mess. He should not have done that. We all knew that he was wrong. Even though most of us didn't like the mess, it doesn't matter. You can't be going out and publicly shaming the mess like that. And he was in a very bad position because he was in course at the time. Now he's not in course. He wouldn't be hit as hard because he's now a little bit more experienced and whatnot.
Well, another thing about social media presence, I'm on LinkedIn. I'm also on Twitter. We're on a bunch of other things. If I was to apply for a job, well, actually, I'm old and fat, and nobody really wants to hire me anymore. Anyway, I get hired because I'm a carpenter. Nobody really cares about that. Let's say somebody was going to hire James after he gets out of the military. First place they're going to look, when they look at his name on the thing, they're going to look at his resume, and they're going to say, now they're going to go over to LinkedIn. Does he have a profile? Click James Jackson. What has he said to different subjects and stuff? They're going to look at his feed. They're going to look at his posts. They're going to look at what his comments were and what he liked and stuff. And they're going to know right off the bat who this person is. So if you don't want people to hire you for who you are, get off the social media, but watch yourself, because really, if you're on there, and I'm on the political stuff all the time, and so is James, and so are some of the others, that stuff's permanent. It becomes a permanent record. Now, here's an example. I'm sure most of you have heard of the Canadian Silent Majority. I actually have them favorited on my Facebook, so does James. Mm-hmm. And they make some pretty terrible, nasty comments sometimes about the Prime Minister and about other people. I personally don't agree with the politics and some of the decisions our Prime Minister has made, but I do not agree with the silent majority when they're calling for him to be tried for treason or hung or any of these things. Yeah, the man has done nothing of those sort. The man has made decisions we don't agree with. But guess what? He was elected by a majority of the people that voted. Well, actually, he didn't even get the popular vote, but it doesn't matter. He's by our electoral system. He won the vote, won the election. Therefore, he is basically the Prime Minister of Canada. So you made a comment on there.
So I follow Yellow Vest of Canada, and well, this one was from Yellow Vest of Newfoundland and Labrador. And there's they made a post on there stating, what would you do if the Prime Minister of Canada, Justin Trudeau, was to call you right now? Every single person on there was talking about how they would bitch him out, and they would call him all these mean, nasty things and ask him why he's ruining the country and why he hates Canadians and all this crazy stuff. And I'm like, I would not say those things to him if he called me. So I posted on that picture, I said, even though I don't like what he is doing, I would show him the most respect I have ever shown anyone, because he is the Prime Minister of Canada and he was elected by the people. He represents all of Canada and deserves respect and should be shown it no matter what. Then there was a man, he's kind of a big face for the Yellow Vest movement right now. I've seen quite a few posts from him. His name is Tom Lennon. He said, respect. He will get our respect when he gets his. When we get his. Respect is earned, and in no way have I seen any of that. I do not know you're following. I don't know what you're following, but I believe you're not on the same page as the rest of us. Pay more attention. So basically, he's telling me that I should show the Prime Minister disrespect because of what he's been doing, and I think that is crazy. So I had a follow-up to that, and it's basically what I said before, just respect the Prime Minister, and I'll put it up on the screen for you. But what I'm trying to say there is that he represents all of Canada. So if you're being disrespectful to him, you're being disrespectful to all of Canada. And I can't be like that. I'm a very patriotic Canadian, and I said to him that you're not very patriotic or very Canadian if you're going to be doing that to the Prime Minister. It's just so crazy to me to think that you would disrespect someone like that based on what they're doing, or based on what they're supposedly doing to you, when he is such an important figure of Canada. Like, I personally don't really agree with a lot of what Justin Trudeau is doing, but it doesn't really matter how I agree with him or not. I think the figure that he is and what he represents is more important than what he's doing.
Well, he was democratically elected, and thank God we are a democratic nation, and we have the right, next election, if we don't like what he's doing, to get together and get things going and get him voted out and bring somebody else in. That is what we have the right to do. We don't have the right to go and belittle people, to call people names, to trash their reputations, to do whatever it is we're doing, or to call for some really nasty stuff. There's people that have called for him to be, facing firing squads and tried for treason. He's done nothing of that. Just because we don't like his politics. Now, here's something I learned in the military, and I bet you James learned this one too. And a lot of you people may have learned this and you don't even know you know it.
What is
and
that?
I call it saluting the uniform.
Oh, yes.
It's one of my 3 rules. What that meant to me back when I was in the military is there was some, some senior NCOs, some officers, and I'm going to give this guy his name. I don't know if he's still around or not. His name was Sergeant Bob Green. He was my NCO in command when I was with the CSO Mux, which is a computer, in 1978. Anyway, I had a lieutenant that I really despised. I didn't like his decisions. I didn't like the stuff. And Bob took me aside one time, and he says, it doesn't matter what you think about this man. Doesn't matter whether you believe in or agree with anything he has to say. He's wearing the uniform of an officer, and he's been given the commission, and he has the right to give you instructions and to give me instructions and to give us both direction and guidance. But on the opposite end of the coin, this man is also responsible for the consequences of the things we do. So what I had learned, and it took me a while longer because I was young and naive and a little bit strong-headed, what I learned is that my superiors, the people that are above me, are responsible. On a job site, for example, I teach this in my carpentry classes. On a job site, I don't have to understand why this guy wants to have these walls framed or this foundation done a certain way. Because the fact is if it's done wrong and I do it the way he told me to do it, I don't get shit for it. He does. He's responsible. And who gets to make those decisions? He does, not me. Now, I really, really enjoy it with my experience and stuff when people come to me and ask for my advice. But they are not obligated to take my advice. They're obligated to make their decision because they're responsible for their decision. That's what I call saluting the uniform. I don't know if that's what you've learned.
I have learned that, and I just wanted to say one thing about the Yellow Vest movement. I kind of agree with what they're doing. I just don't like the approach that they're doing. I think they would have a much better approach if they weren't belittling and attacking the Prime Minister of Canada. I think it'd be so much better if they were just being a movement that is trying to change the way Canada is right now and
mobilize the resources, mobilize the electorate so that we could get together and bring about a political change when the next election comes up.
Maybe talk about how you dislike what he's doing, but I don't think we need to attack him on a personal level and things like that. I think it would be such a better movement if we were just much more professional about it and gave him an amount of respect. I think one of the reasons why I don't stand with the Yellow Vest movement and why I don't like it so much is that. I'd say that's probably actually the only reason, is what they are doing with that. I know that you guys aren't doing violence in your things, and that's mostly like the Antifa infiltrating, so I understand that aspect, but I don't like how you guys are calling for violence on some of your posts and some of the things you guys are saying and some of the signs you have. That to me is where I lose you. I just can't
There's another aspect of what I call saluting the uniform, because I'm not saluting the person wearing the uniform, I'm saluting the uniform they're wearing. Well, guess what? Sometimes I'm wearing a uniform, and I might be wearing the uniform of father. And if I can't respect those people, like my father, or can't respect my employers, then how can I expect my children to respect my decisions when they don't fully agree with them? Or how can I respect my subordinates on the job site to, do what I'm asking them to do and to respect my decisions if I can't respect the people who are above me?
Yeah,
So-
we talked about this in length a little bit more in one of our past videos. I'll leave a link for that in the description. We talked about how you should respect those above you, even if you don't like what they're doing. I know we're probably harping on it probably 2 or 3 times now, but it's something that we both stand very strongly with. And
But this goes for men. And here's the thing. And this kind of leverages us into the next thing. Maybe next week we'll talk about some of the things I wanted to talk about, which is my other 2 rules. But this leverages for men. If we cannot treat our wives and our children and our people that are vulnerable around us with the respect and the dignity that they deserve, then those around us are watching us, and guess what they're going to treat us like?
well, it's not even. Well, I guess it is what they're going to treat us like. But if you're disrespecting your wife because you would say that she's also disrespecting you, then your son is seeing how you're treating your wife, and when he gets older, guess how he's going to treat his wife, even if she's not disrespecting him.
Absolutely.
It's a really monkey see, monkey do kind of thing, and he doesn't see that she's been disrespecting you behind closed doors or whatever she's doing or spending a bunch of money. He doesn't see that. Your son only sees how you're treating your wife, and if you mistreat her, he's going to think that that's okay, and he's going to grow older, and he might mistreat other people too, and he might turn into a complete dirtbag and mistreat the people that work for him and the people that he is friends with or interacts with. It might not just only be his wife. So it is important for you to raise your children
in the way they should go, or they will not depart from it. That's in the Bible.
Yeah.
Anyway, see this thing here, James?
Yeah, I see that.
Okay. This is called the Moose Hide Campaign. I just got this handed to me by my beautiful wife today, and I was very excited when I got it. James has got a different opinion on it, but I'm going to give you mine first.
Yeah, this is
And
a
then
this
he's
is a
gonna
thing
get
this is a thing that is only in BC right now, as far as I know.
It's going to be all over the place. The Moose Hide Campaign is a grassroots movement of Aboriginal and non-Aboriginal men who are standing up against violence towards women and children. Wearing this moose hide signifies your commitment to honor, respect, and protect the women and children in your life, and to work together with other men to end violence against women and children. Our vision is to spread the Moose Hide Campaign to organizations, communities, and governments throughout Canada. Okay? James is going to post the link here.
I'll post a picture. You'll see.
This organization is a grassroots. It looks to me like it's just starting up. Boy, it sounds like exactly what I'm talking about. You know, us men, it's time for us to be better. Just like the Gillette commercial that started my whole journey. Yeah, I don't like being attacked, and I don't like some of the things that are going on to what men. But you know something? If we step up and men become the men we are supposed to be, maybe we won't be as attacked anymore. Maybe that will just dissipate. I don't really know. But I do love this moose hide thing. I think it's awesome. And we do need to protect our children. We do need to protect and love and honor our wives and our spouses and the women in our lives. And when we see wrong and we see somebody else doing something to the women and children in their lives, we need to be vulnerable and step in and try and stop that too. So what do you not like about it?
So obviously he's saying that I don't really agree with this. I agree with everything you just said. The only thing I disagree with about this campaign is this moose hide you have on your chest. I think that those things that we have in society, your ribbons on the back of your car, your stickers that say I support Haiti or whatever, those things that you get, or your pins that say that I gave to the Salvation Army, those things I think are just so ridiculous to me. Like, if you think that you giving $20 to the Salvation Army is your ability to say that I help people, like, no. Go and actually help people. Having I'm part of the military, and another thing that I really hate is having people that say I support the armed forces on the back of their thing. We don't give a shit about those stickers on the back of your car. What we care about is how you respect us to our face. If you actually do things to help us with your businesses or with your donations of some sorts, we don't care about those ribbons. Nobody gives a shit about your ribbons. Nobody gives a shit about your moose. Everybody cares about your ability to be a decent human being and do those things. Like, I agree with everything that it's talking about, but I think you can do that without the moose hide. And you don't need to show everybody, hey, I'm being a good guy, I got my moose hide on my chest. You don't need to do that. And it just is crazy to me that you need to go out and you need to advertise to everybody else that I'm a good guy because I got my moose hide on my chest. No, just be a good guy. And I understand, like, kind of how Dad is saying, like, the moose hide will show other men that being a good guy is a good thing to do. Why can't you just be a good guy to those guys and eventually they'll catch on? Maybe those guys are lost causes, but the next generations and the generations after will catch on if you're just being a good person. I don't think we need... Like, this moose hide to me is just such a useless waste of time and moose hide. It's such a waste of moose hide. We could use this moose hide for such better things. We could make drums with it.
I'm really appreciative of what you just said, James, because I can't even disagree with you. I do see lots of people with, wearing poppies. I had a girl one time, I have veteran plates on my vehicle, and I had a girl one time walked up to me and called me a baby killer, and I'm like, what? Canada doesn't do that kind of stuff. What we do is usually peacekeeping. And when I served in the military, we barely even did that. And then she spit on the windshield of my car and walked away. And I'm like, of my truck, actually. And I'm like, what's that all about? Like, I don't really get it. So that was the exact opposite of what James is just saying. And something I don't remember because it was around November. I wonder if she had a poppy on.
She might have. And I think with the poppy thing, it's kind of a different thing with this whole moose hide because it's how, as a country, we can come together as a whole group of people and support and say, we still remember about a really bad time back in the days. And yes, I know we could do it without the poppy, and I think it'd be cool if we could do it without the poppy, but for some people, it helps to have the poppy. And I would understand that that'd be the same way with the moose hide or the same way with your ribbons, but it doesn't really work that kind of a way. I think it only works with major symbols. And if the moose hide becomes a major symbol somehow or some way, maybe I could see it, but I just don't see how the moose hide could ever become that kind of thing. So
basically what you're telling people is, come on, let's step up and let's use action.
Yes, actually be a good person. And the poppy, if you wear a poppy in November, that doesn't mean that you support the military. That doesn't mean fuck all. That just means you wore a poppy in November. You gotta, there's 11 months of the year where you have to support the military. Do you want to know where you have to be a good guy?
Here's the difference between Canada and the United States. Now, I'm Canadian, and you'll notice the Canadian flag. We race cars, and we go to the United States frequently. I have a set of veteran plates on my truck. You know what they've done for me here in Canada? Outside of somebody spitting on my windshield, I don't think I've ever had anybody ever notice that I've got them on or say anything about it or thank me for my service or anything. But I can tell you, every time I cross the border, 50% of the time when I go to the United States, whoever was the border crossing guy thanks me for my service before I drive away. And they're Americans, and they're thanking a Canadian for serving in the Canadian forces. I was at a race in Washington. What's the name of the track there?
I can't remember.
The Washington track, anyway. We were racing quarter midgets. Anyway, so we're there at the race, and I was working on my race cars, and three young men, about 15 or 16 years old, they were kids that were, at the edge, late stages of the racing, walk up, and do you know who owns the truck? And I said it was mine, and the guy came over, he says, just want to shake your hand, and I'm like, what for? He says, thank you for your service. That's a 15-year-old kid. And he walked away, and the other two guys both, thank you for your service. So basically what I'm saying is in the United States, they don't go around saying we support the military. They actually do. You know what they do in Canada? Nothing. Nobody ever says anything.
I think some good examples are when I first joined the military, I looked online and I was like, okay, what are these different kind of discounts that we can get in the military and whatnot? I was more curious because I don't really agree with using discounts and stuff like that. It's nice to have it all, but I feel kind of weird about asking for them and whatnot. But I was more curious, so I looked online in Canada, and it said that there was a movie theater near my house that gave like a 40% discount or something like that. So I was like, sweet, I'm going to take my brother to see Star Wars anyways. So I went to the movie theater. I asked them for the discount. The lady asked me, what is the military? When I told her, do you have a military discount? And she's like, what is the military? And I had to explain to her what the military is. And she's like, yeah, I don't think we have a discount here. So now I'm embarrassed for even asking. So I don't bother asking anymore. And I just go and pay full price for my movie. And I go and look online. There's pretty much nowhere else where they give military discounts here. But what I did find is that across the border, there are tons of different services that you can get discounts or even for free. I can go to a racetrack across the border for free. And it costs $40 to get in if you're a normal person off the streets.
And when I go with him, I get in for 50% off. So when we go down to Skagit Raceway, we pay $20 for one of the top events to go to instead of $80. And that's their way of thanking people. So what James is saying is, maybe we need to be not wearing the badges and buttons and stuff as much. We need to be acting in that way.
Yep.
So if you're wearing a breast cancer awareness badge, get your freaking wallet out and give them some money.
Yeah.
And if you're talking about helping the homeless, take a homeless person in for lunch. If you're trying to talk about, helping people, let them sleep in your backyard or something. Like, come on, people.
Help people. Don't just say it. And if you donated to Breast Cancer Foundation, you don't need to tell me about it. You don't need to brag to me about it. You don't need to wear a pin on your chest and walk around the mall.
You've already received your reward.
Yeah, your reward is donating. That is it. That is all you get. That's all you need. That is more than worth it in my eyes, is that you will donate and you might save a life. Your little piece might help save a life.
And I'll say this about a couple of things to do with some of the really, really super wealthy people that are on the news all the time, talking about global warming and climate change. Excuse me, I live in a mobile home with 968 square feet, and I have 5 people living in that house. And we keep our temperature at, what, 67?
Yeah,
we
Fahrenheit.
Contribute to the reduction in climate change. Exactly what are you doing with your 5 and 6 houses and 35 and 40 bedrooms and 4 or 5 pools? Really? If you can't live...
Yeah, what I think is so funny is there's a guy in the States, Bernie Sanders. He's a senator over there. He's talking about climate change and whatnot. He owns 3 massive houses in the state of New York.
They weren't massive. They were just... But he owns 3 houses.
Pretty big in comparison to ours.
So here you've got a guy talking about how the poor and the disenfranchised need to be housed and stuff.
You have 3 houses!
Like, wow.
I don't have anything wrong with him owning 3 houses, but what I do have wrong is with him owning 3 houses and then saying that we should do better.
The hypocrisy.
It's just ridiculous. You can own 3 houses if you want, but you don't need to come down and belittle us for not helping the needy as much.
Yeah. And like, if you're Al Gore, hi Al.
Yeah, right.
Don't fly to Vancouver in your Boeing 747 private jet to tell us who are driving around in their 30-year-old cars that we have to buy electric vehicles. Really? Like, let's
so crazy.
Hypocrisy is hypocrisy, and let's stop it. Like, yeah, so James is right.
I think one of the things that's kind of important here in BC, we have a guy named Jimmy Pattison.
Yeah.
He owns a lot of the different businesses around here, and what he also does is he gives money to the children's hospital, so much so that they have a children's hospital named after him because he paid for it. They have schools named after him because he paid for them. And I think that's how you should be doing these things. If you want people to do better in the giving money to the children's hospital, fucking give money to the children's hospital.
Yeah, get your freaking wallet out. And if you want people off the streets and the homeless people, let them put their motorhome in your driveway. If you want people off the streets and into shelter and stuff like that, let them fucking sleep in your garage. I'm sorry for the swear. But it just bothers me so much that rich people want to use my money to help poor people. Excuse me.
You won't even use your own money. You want
use
to use
your own money if you want to help people. Like, give me a break.
And I think one of the things that I learned from a young age is even though my father doesn't give any money to homeless people when they're asking spare change, what he did do is he would bring in a homeless couple every now and then, and they would stay in our house, and then one of the homeless couples, he gave them a car when they were starting to get back on their feet a little bit.
Yeah, but that was back when we had a really large house. We had a 6-bedroom house at the time, so I had 2 bedrooms that I didn't use, so we had allowed homeless people to stay in those bedrooms.
And one of the homeless people that I remember the most, they stayed there for quite a while. They had a young child as well, and I think is very important and probably help that family a lot to be able to get back on their feet, have somewhere to stay rent-free, and then have a free car given to them. It was an old station wagon that my mom had been using, and Dad had upgraded and given her a better station wagon. So he gave the old station wagon to this family, and that taught me so much from a very young age that you don't just go up and you talk about the needy. You don't just give them money, because that doesn't really help them the same. You help them literally. You take them under your wing and you help them get a job. Sometimes you would take homeless people and you would hire them at your construction sites, or you'd vouch for them and get them to be hired at by your company.
My best friend Paul Robson does that frequently.
He does that quite a lot. A lot of the guys he has working for him are people that were in Skid Row
or on alcohol and drug abuse problems and stuff like that, and he gives them a chance.
Yeah.
And some of the people that he's given chances to have gone on to, do really, really well in life.
And that's how you help the homeless, and that's how you help the needy. You don't do it by getting one of those pins saying that I help the needy.
Or you just lobby the government so they can use my money, right? Or the money that you're paying in taxes. So anyway,
yeah, you go and vote so that we can pay more taxes. Yeah, that's you helping the needy. Yeah, right.
Anyway, so yeah, I guess we've kind of beat this one to death. So rather than wearing the tags, I'm still gonna wear my tag.
Yeah, you can wear it if you like. I'm not gonna belittle you anymore for it. I've said my piece and you get it.
Yeah, I get it. So anyway, we don't really have time today to do our tool of the day.
Tool of the week?
Yeah. Do you want to maybe do a double tool of the week next week?
Yeah, next week we can bring you a real big tool of the week.
What I'm thinking I'm going to do next week is I'm actually going to start, because I did teach carpentry for a number of years. So what I want to do is maybe I'm going to add in the proper handling and use of tools as something that's important too. And maybe even as basic as screwdrivers and...
yeah, we can start right from the bottom. If you guys have any ideas, I know we haven't been getting many comments lately, but if you have any ideas, we'd love to hear about them. If you want to learn something, we're more than happy to help. That's how we like to help. We're not going to wear any pins. We're going to...
I will.
You'll wear your pin saying you help the commenters? Yeah, okay. So that's how we'd like to help. As always, if you like this video, or if you dislike it, there's a little thing below, a thumbs down and a thumbs up. You can hit whichever one you like. I don't really care if you thumbs down. Honestly, I kind of like it. We got our very first dislike last week, and I was cheering. My girlfriend, she's like, someone disliked your video. And I was like, yes! Finally! Someone! Woo! And that felt good for me. So if you dislike it, you can hit the dislike button. But I'd also like if you comment. I know that person, I don't think you're watching this video, but I'd love to know why you disliked the video. I'd want to know a little bit more about that. So please comment below as well. And if you want to see more videos like this, you can hit subscribe, hit the little bell notification, and you'll be notified every time we upload a video. We try to do one every week. We usually upload around Tuesday or Monday. Depends on about how good I'm feeling to really get going on the editing, because I edit the videos. We have another channel where we talk about NASCAR. We've been a little bit dead on it lately because we've been a little busy. It's called Toxic Male NASCAR. You can head over there. There'll be a link in the description for that. Dad has a book, right?
Yep. I've written one series of books that I've published so far. They're called Rapacious Creditor, available on Google Play Books. I've got a number of other books right now. What I'm doing is I'm working on revising them to change the dates and stuff so they're more appropriate. And my next book that I'm going to write, the series is actually called Not Me Too. And guaranteed that we will get some dislikes on that one.
I would hope so. I would hope we'd get some dislikes on that. So if you want to read his book, because maybe you like what he's talking about, or maybe you dislike what he's talking about, you want to hear more stuff to make you hate-filled, there'll be a link in the description for you to go and read his book or purchase it.
Yep.
It's a pretty good book. I've been reading most of it so far, and I kind of like it. With that being said, would like to see you next week, and...
Hey, if you can't be good at it. And that's addressed to Jesse Smollett. Like, he had to have been better at what he did.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy.